Try and get back in. It's internet. Take out as usual. Fuck.
You said how it's been sourced and how it's been manufactured. For example, if you get hydrogen through the steam reformation process, which obviously they use natural gas, it will burn with a blue flame. Okay, if you get hydrogen from your chloralkali process, sodium chloride, it will burn with a yellow flame or orange flame. Now, when the hydrogen, these facts, essentially, these facts tell us that the hydrogen comes from the substances and not from water. So it's, you know, to actually isolate and understand what hydrogen actually is. Now that is a different thing altogether. It's very difficult because our understanding is, you know, just our understanding that we've developed over a few months, or a year or so. It's not definitive. We're not saying we're right. We're not saying whatever, but it's just the way we perceive it to be. But we don't know exactly what hydrogen is. What is it? I mean, I don't know. We don't know what oxygen is. Oxygen, and through our demonstrations with sodium chloride, electrolysis of sodium chloride, we saw that the oxygen that we garnered, once the chlorine had been kind of like minimized, was that the oxygen had characteristics of hydrogen. Now, it's more than plausible that hydrogen is the most abundant material substance on the Earth, hydrogen. So it's makes common sense to accept that hydrogen is contained in an awful lot of elements. It just makes sense. And then we can understand that calcium, for example, when we drop calcium in water and it's giving off hydrogen, obviously the hydrogen's contained in the calcium. Makes sense. Hydrogen is likely to be contained in magnesium. Hydrogen is likely to be contained in sodium. Hydrogen is likely to be contained in potassium. When we run through all of these, when we look at the reactions that these have with acids, with other substances where hydrogen is given off, we can actually safely say that the hydrogen is part of the element, part of the substance that is being reacted. It just makes sense, doesn't it? If you've got make a cake and you put let's say you put coconuts, butter, milk, sugar, and flour in it, okay, where's the raisins come from? How can you have raisins appear from that cake? You can't
if you haven't put any in.
If you haven't put any in. This is the whole point. The whole point is that a lot of people have been manipulating these chemicals over hundreds and hundreds of years, and they've developed in such a way through their manufacturing processes that they have become more refined. But essentially, the stuff, the hard hardware, as it were, hasn't changed at all. It's just the understanding that's changed, because at the end of the day, you know, I don't think water is hydrogen and oxygen anymore. You know, to be honest with you, I've never really thought, just like the Earth being flat, you know, I never thought that the Earth was a spinning ball. You know, it's just the same with water. And it's, you know, it just makes, you know, to me, it just makes sense, you know.
So you say that some of these things that are nominated as elements on the periodic table are actually, in fact, compounds.
No, what I'm saying is that if you can have the element of calcium, but when you buy calcium metal, for example, it's likely it's a compound. So the calcium's got hydrogen in it. This is the thing. In other words, what we're saying is that even though these elements exist, the thing that because we're conditioned into understanding elements to exist separately, okay, on paper, on the periodic table, when it comes to actually using these materials and producing these materials and playing around with these materials, it's very likely that they're made up of different. They've got bits of every other stuff in them. They are compounds. You know, like the calcium's got calcium and hydrogen in it. Like sodium metal might have a bit of potassium in it. Absolutely, sodium might have a bit of potassium in it. You know, it's surprising how potassium and sodium are so alike, and yet the only reason why they're different is one of the reasons is when you burn the hydrogen that's produced, because you get a different coloured flame. So we can say that they're slightly different, but they are essentially coming from the same kind of source. But I suppose what your point you made is correct in that we just think that the stuff that you're playing around with, the physical stuff that you're handling, is usually a compound, because it's very, very difficult to get something that's pure. Purity in nature is very, very hard to achieve. And for man to do that, I mean, come on, who's subservient to nature, you know, no way. I'm just reading the comments. Yeah, in the chat. I did put that link in. Oh, Stuart Pounds there.
You can get links in. I've modded you so you can put links in.
I'll put it in again for you, team. Well, I've put that link in. Yeah, I mean, watch the video. I mean, make your own minds up. But this is how we interpret what we're seeing. And if you do watch an awful lot of videos on YouTube where hydrogen is burned, just look at the color of the flame, and that will indicate to you where that hydrogen's come from. You know, because you know it just makes common sense to understand it in this way. Because if you're making, let's say you're making, I'm trying to think now. Let's say you're making sodium. Let's say you're making salt. So you're going to use sodium chloride from the sea. Okay, the salt from the sea. We know it's got sodium in there. Okay, we know what sodium burns with a yellow flame. Okay, so you do all this processing with the salt. You even add your anti-caking agents in with the salt. You do all this heating. You do all this drying. You do all of this refining and stuff. But at the end of the day, when you start to collect the gas, when you decompose this stuff in your electrolytic tub and you collect your gas, that gas is going to burn with a yellow flame because it's reminiscent of sodium. You can't change the stuff, the fundamental stuff that's in there. You just can't do it. You can't do it. As far as I'm concerned, I think in our videos we've provided enough information to show that hydrogen comes from these substances. It is not coming from the water. One thing that surprised us was when we did manage to get a bit of a sulfuric acid solution, which we electrolyzed, because according to mainstream, sulfur burns with a blue flame. So you tend to think that they use sulfur to make sulfuric acid. But when we come to collect the gas at the cathode and burn it, it burns with a pale yellow flame. Yeah, because we was really expecting it to burn with a blue flame. How can this be? we were expecting a blue flame. Because sulfur, even though it's yellow, it burns with a clear blue flame. And we're not thinking, well, how can this be? Are we wrong? But then you have to look at how the sulfuric acid is made. Absolutely. And the sulfuric acid is essentially made through the contact process, I'm sure. Yeah, contact process. And they essentially use vanadium pentoxide as a catalyst. Now, vanadium burns with a pale yellow, with a yellow flame. So, you know, you tell me, you know, at the end of the day, what we're seeing is that when we test for the substances that are garnered from reacting these substances, they are reminiscent of how they've been made, which makes total sense. It makes perfect sense.
No.
You know, I mean, you know, how else can you actually? He's said, can you?
Oh, yeah. Well,
you know, it's you know, it's there you go. You know, I mean, we're willing to look at any information if people think we're wrong. You know, I mean, we're trying at our hardest at the moment. Well, I suppose not our hardest, but we're trying to understand information that's presented to us that obviously may conflict with our views, aren't we? Which, well, you know, we're certainly open to have a look at how we interpret it. But when you get to a point where you've got a situation going on, okay, now that we're talking about chemical substances, okay, that don't lie to you, okay. Now, if you're getting, how can anyone look at a chemical reaction and see it in two different ways? It's ridiculous. It can only, it should only be interpreted in one way, shouldn't it, really, when you think about it? But when it's like, if you take the hydrogen and oxygen out of the water, then you can interpret it in a different way than if you thought the hydrogen and oxygen is in the water.
It's a bit like your colloidal cupronickel, or de Browney's colloidal cupronickel.
Yeah.
You can interpret what's actually happening in two different ways.
But this is the weird part. We shouldn't be doing this. We should be in a position where where everyone sees it in the same way.
Yeah, but if you're getting a substance like magnesium and it turns to a white powder because it's been heated up, then somebody else can't see that in a different way.
Absolutely, but it's still a white powder.
Yeah, there's something that's still clear cut.
Absolutely clear cut. Absolutely, but it's so nice to be at a point now where, because Peter and myself, we've kind of like moved on from flat Earth, you know, quite a lot, and we just find other things of interest, and raising questions, getting other people to question and argue and discuss and debate is something that we thoroughly enjoy doing, because this is what it's all about.
And also, you and I do like understanding how things are made.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, absolutely. You know, even to how plastic bags are made. You know, it's just amazing how humans can build all these machines to make all this stuff.
It reminds me Christmas time when we did a video about Wolfie. Because we were knocking his dumpy level.
Wolfie 6020, wasn't it?
Wolfie 6020 and dumpy level. And on that video, we debunked Raging S, because we are saying to him that carbon dioxide is actually created in your fizzy drinks.
Oh, right, yeah, sure, yeah.
He has it in him that they put carbon dioxide into the drink.
Yeah, the gas. And it dissolves in the water, because people are led to think that gases dissolve into liquids, into water. And yet we think that that's wrong, because I've never seen a bubble disappear in the water. Yeah. It's always risen up to the top.
Bubbles always rise up.
You know, when you really do think about it, you know, there's a reality that a lot of people just are not in tune with, and yet it stares them right in the face all the time. Essentially. Yeah. I mean, that's, and except what all we do is that
and it's the simplicity of it.
All we do is we just bring people into that that level of understanding where they are closer to reality,
to that simplicity,
to that simplistic state of being. You know, because life isn't complicated; it's very simple indeed.
Well, it's just like when we had our Flat Earth group meeting on Tuesday night, and we had some young people turn up, and that we're explaining to them about how things just fall because of density. And we're more or less saying to them, look, it's that simple.
Absolutely, yeah, that simple.
and they can't grasp it.
They can't grasp the simplicity of it because they've been conditioned into, you know, thinking that it's complicated. Oh yeah, well we've had scientists working hard, they've built up knowledge over 300 years just to give you this kind of like understanding, this knowledge, this database.
But it's all bullshit.
But it's all bollocks.
Yeah,
you know, it's all. A lot of it's contrived. A lot of it just doesn't make sense. A lot of it isn't applicable. A lot of it is, you know, it doesn't belong to us because it's their knowledge. It's not our knowledge.
it's what they want to.
It's what they want to think. You know.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
That's all
Okay.
really good stuff.
So
You
who's
know,
the-
sorry,
Okay,
go on.
We've got somebody that's somebody would like to speak. They've got their hand up. Who's up?
Hello?
Hello.
Oh, yeah.
You're very quiet.
Hello?
Hello,
Yes,
yeah. Hello.
Speak. Yeah, get closer to your mic.
Can you hear me?
Oh, Brenda, get yourself a proper mic.
I have a proper mic.
I can't hear you, Brenda.
Well, I don't know what to tell you.
I know that. So why did you come on then?
Just fine.
Your
My mic is
microphone's
just fine.
no, it's not. You need to get a deeper voice and speak into it a bit louder.
Oh, Brent.
Is that any better?
Okay, can you hear me?
No, you're very quiet.
Well,
Yes,
you
Brent.
can obviously hear me somewhat.
Yeah, I can hear you somewhat. You're just
Yeah,
there.
it's getting louder.
You're just
Yeah.
there. Look, there's you. Yeah. So, what brilliant knowledge are you going to give us?
I'm trying to select the the proper device is not selected. That's
The proper device is not selected. Why? What device are you trying to look for?
well in this Jitsi meeting thingy.
Yeah, what are you trying to do? Like, you try to share a screen or something?
No, it needs to select my microphone and it's not doing it.
Well, it is selected.
Well,
It's just that you're not speaking into it. You need to put it closer
I
to your
am
mouth.
speaking into it.
Well, you need to put it closer to your mouth because you're very quiet.
Okay, can I ask questions?
Yeah, go on, fire away.
So Peter and Pete, I enjoy your videos. They're very good.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes. I enjoy them a great deal. Can you hear me?
Yeah. We're
listening.
Yeah, we're waiting
You know.
for you to say something
Yeah.
else. Yeah.
Yeah. So why is it that you think that water is not composed mostly of H2O?
But I was asked that with Team Skeptic when I did a hangout, and my reply to that is that, well, how do you know that water is made of hydrogen and oxygen? I'm not mocking you or anything like this, but even though you've asked me about water being made, why don't I think water's not hydrogen and oxygen? You've not really. I've not seen any evidence or proof that water is hydrogen and oxygen. So to ask me why I don't think water's not hydrogen and oxygen, I think I've got that.
Because of the lack of.
It's simply because of the lack of proof. There is no proof that it is.
There's no proof in science. You know that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just an understanding. That's all it is.
Well,
So,
it's based on evidence, and my understanding is I took courses in chemistry in school, high school, and in college, and that is what I was taught, and it's reasonable
A shame.
for me to base my beliefs on what I was taught.
Do you
it's
think the Earth's
reasonable?
flat, Brenda?
Do you think it's reasonable to believe what you were taught?
No.
No. It's
Why not?
well, I just don't think it's reasonable to believe in anything. I'd say it's if my own personal understanding is that it's unreasonable to believe in anything.
Do you think it's reasonable that you were taught that you were a man, Brenda?
Yeah, fuck off.
Well, you're asking. You're asking if it's reasonable. You're asking if it's reasonable. I'm throwing it back in you, and it doesn't work, does it? Ken, doesn't it only works for your questions, doesn't it?
No, Pete and Peter are very big on politeness. Right?
I'm polite as well. I'm polite as well. All I did was say, "Did you get the same question?" That's all I did. You didn't like it.
You're not.
Yes, I did.
You know, this looks poorly on you, Pete and Peter.
It looks terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, it's shocking. What a shame.
Isn't that?
He's gone. No, he's still there. Right. So you wanted to say how Kel terminated. Oh, did he take his out? Ouch! You've been kicked. You've been kicked out of the meet. Oh dear. Oh, he's a funny fucker, is he? You fucking prick. Right, he's kicking me for my own fucking jar, so we'll just put a stop to that as soon as we get in. You're an arsehole. Idea, kick him. Brenda, you fucking prick. So Brenda's decided to be an arsehole with a hangout, okay? So the Pete and Pete show has disappeared for just now. But I'll go back in. I've just got to wait for a second and be sneaky about it.
You have a belief, but beliefs, like a lot of other beliefs, can turn out to be untrue. So how do we know that your belief is true? Well, we need to see proof. And over a long period of time, I've not seen any proof that hydrogen and oxygen make up water. There's lots of videos on there, on YouTube, on the internet, where people are stating the title of their videos, making water from hydrogen and oxygen. But when you watch the video, there's no water. Why is that? It's because hydrogen and oxygen do not make up water. It's as simple as that. People just think, they believe that they're making water from kind of like a reaction between hydrogen and oxygen. But this is just rubbish. It's a contrived understanding of reality. If, like I've said this before, if somebody says to me that they've got £10 in their pocket, okay, I'm going to take that with a very large pinch of salt, because to me it's meaningless.
They could be lying.
They could be lying. I don't know. But at the end of the day, it's when that person shows me that £10 that they've got in their pocket, then I know that they're not lying to me. Then I know that they're telling me the truth. So, when we go to school, we don't ask. We're not asked. We don't ask our teachers to provide us proof that what they're saying is true, do we? We don't ask for these. We don't question. Otherwise, we'll get hassled. We'll get kicked out. If we don't sit our exams and fill out the forms correctly, give the answers that are required, we won't get our certificate. That means we won't be able to get our job that we so desperately want, because we can get a better income. We can secure our futures financially. All this, it's all a blackmail system. We do,
in your opinion.
In my opinion, of course, we do. We have to conform in order to get out of the system what we want out of the system. But the thing is that a lot of the information that we conform to there's no proof for it. It's just a belief. It's just an understanding. It's you know, a lot of people can look at water, run the tap and say, oh, there's oxygen and hydrogen there. Okay. They could have that understanding for their whole life and never once see any proof, evidence, whatever you want to call it, that there's oxygen and hydrogen in that water. And yet they've gone throughout their whole life believing that there's hydrogen and oxygen in the water. It's the same with space. It's the same with, you know, landing on the moon landings. You know, a lot of people have gone through their whole life thinking that they've landed on the moon. They've gone through their whole life thinking the International Space Station is a very real thing that's orbiting the Earth. There's, you know, there's all of this stuff in this society, and a lot of it is just rubbish because there's no actual proof that what we're being told is true.
Yep. That's very true. That's you got a point there. I couldn't get back in because Brenda was being his usual typical self and doesn't like his own questions getting fired back at himself, and he wouldn't let me back in. So I eventually got back in and I fucked him off. So, but yeah. So the subject, I think, what he was saying was, should you believe everything you're taught? And we says no, and he was, or to go with the consensus, and he was going to debate against that and say that no, you shouldn't. So clearly, I have to ask a question: do you believe it's right that you were taught that you were a man? And well, that just rubs him up the wrong way because that's just crumbled his fucking defence straight away, and he.
I don't get involved. If people have a little debacle, then that's between them two.
Yeah, I've got no problem. I haven't got any problem with it. He can try and pull the oh, I'm picking on gay people. Oh, he likes. I can go and bring my brother in, and he'll explain everything about being gay because he's gay. So I've got no problem about him trying to throw the, oh, you're homophobic or something. And it's like, ha, no, not really. No, if I've got a family member, it's like right next to me that's that way inclined. So I can't help that. Okay? That's just the way it is. I've got no reason to bring in the sexuality thing at all. But that's what he wants to do, you know.
I think one of the things that when you're talking about falsities in life, you know, you talk about flat Earth, you talk about other things that like conspiracies and this, that, and other. A lot of people are probably aware of them, and they're probably, some of people would kind of warm to like 9/11, this kind of stuff. But there's certain things that people don't want to realise, that all of, or not all of it, but most of it could be not a conspiracy, but most of it could be built up on rubbish. Most of it.
Oh, very,
don't really want to accept that.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that.
You know, there's a, you know, we've had no say in how the society is.
No.
I mean, I've never voted in my life.
No one's asked us.
No one's really asked me.
No.
Would you like to vote? Would you like to try and make a change in this society? Would you like to do this? Would you like to? I've never voted. I don't go to meetings. You know, the council, public meetings at the council. I don't look at the council events, the Lord Mayor's parade, and all this kind of rubbish.
Yep.
It's uninteresting. I'm uninterested with it because I know that the society I live in doesn't give a shit about me.
No,
so why should I go out of my life, go out of my time and my effort and do things that they'd like me to do? Go to the library, go and use the council services, go and do this, go and do that. Why should I? It's just ridiculous.
No, you can go and use them if you want, but what they're actually saying is, this is the information we want you to read. There's not a choice, as in your choice is this is it. Now you can take in other information if you like. However, we've discredited this information, so this is on the sidelines. Anything else, however, all their philosophies and all their theories is completely based on all their theories and things are based completely on someone's imagination and someone's thoughts and theories on something.
Yeah.
We cannot manage to deviate our minds from the understanding that this is a theory, guys. Okay, there's a difference between something that is fact and something that is theory, and we have so many things that are actually theories, but we're taking them to the point that now they're a law. It's actually a law that we use, and we've equated numbers and restrictions on these. This is how it should be used, and you're not allowed to deviate from that, or if you do, you will not be listened to in any substantial way because you've not followed their guidelines as to how this has to be interpreted. I mean, we've got a perfect example with the cancer. We've got cancer that came out when we discovered it, so-called, oh, here's cancer, we found it. We take out an act called the Cancer Act 1939, which prevents anybody talking about anything else unless the government say, and the government have laid claim to it. If you do, you're fined, and if you carry on doing it, you're imprisoned. And this is the Cancer Act 1939. And it's still enforced to this day, and doctors have to follow this. Now, this is a crazy idea when you notice that we've got big organisations that are working and supposed to be charitable. They are working on charities and they're doing this completely for our benefit. However, you're not allowed to use any other drug apart from chemotherapy and radiotherapy. And all the other drugs that have ever been known, or even a completely harmless drug that we know is cannabis, and we know through tests throughout the world has been proven to have some beneficial effect, if not cured cannabis, and it's looked at and discounted, and you're not allowed to have anything to do with it. This is fundamentally flawed in our society. Before, everybody would be quite willing to, if you were given this choice to have something that's not going to kill you, would you like to try something that's not going to kill you first, or would you like to just go straight to the radiotherapy and the chemotherapy and we'll try not to kill you? I mean, you're going to go for the safest option first. We don't get to do this. And this all comes down to chemistry, biology, and people deciding that we know what chemistry is all about. We know the drugs that you're allowed to take, and it's enforced. It's enforced by laws. This is wrong.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, I can go with that. I mean, one thing I'd like to point out, and that is anyone in this country can refuse treatment.
Yes, that's your choice. That is fantastic. Here's your choice: radiotherapy and chemotherapy, or nothing.
Yeah, or nothing. Yeah.
Nothing. It's oh, well, would you like to try that then? We can't substantiate, we can't lay claim to it, we can't condone it or commend it, or we can't do anything like that. But would you like to try another treatment? No, there's none of that. It's either fucking that or nothing. Now, that's not a choice.
But that's because the NHS is a business.
Yes, exactly. And it's a business that's supposed to be run by us. We are the people that are supposed to be putting these people in power. So when it comes down to that, then we would like to have our say. And if the people that are supposed to be in power, like us, if one of us as a citizen decides, oh, I think I'll try this route for saving myself, then how is anybody going to be able to stand in your way? Because the people that are in power are actually us. If there's no offence being committed, if no harm has been done, then there's no offence being committed. Is this right? Is this how common law works? Yeah. If no harm is done. So, if my choice is, I can take a substance that may cure me, but you're preventing me from doing it, is that harming me? Yeah, well, yeah. It probably is. So could that be taken as far as to say they are conspiring on manslaughter? Because they're preventing me from curing myself due to a law that suggests that another element, you're not allowed this element, and it's in a plant form that hasn't even been copyrighted by anybody, patented by anybody.
Yeah, can I just add something? Because I think a lot of it comes down to the perception of government, and I mean I have some previous experience of local governments and how they're run and all this lot. And governments are there to provide statutory provision. Now, that statutory provision will be the minimum the minimum that people
Need.
basically
Require.
It's a bit like if you go into a care home, or if you go to the dentist, or if you go wherever, you'll get the minimum, the statutory minimum. If you work for an employer, you're entitled to statutory rights, which is the minimum. They have it in them that they've deemed the statutory provision for treatment for cancer is what you've outlined. Radiotherapy, chemotherapy, that's the statutory provision.
Yes.
Now, I can only assume, because I don't know this, but I can assume that they've only brought those statutory provisions in on chemotherapy, radiotherapy, because for the general populace, they've been, I'm not sure whether they've been tried and tested or whatever, but they've just got that provision in place to satisfy a need.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of it is down to money, because as soon as people start saying, well, I want to go abroad, I want to leave this country and live somewhere warmer, that will make me better. You know, a lot of it is down to money.
Restriction.
Restriction is money. It's like you go to Germany. I was told that in Germany, they would actually pay for, if you're ill and your doctor says that you could do with 2 weeks near the sea, your doctor in Germany would give you a prescription to pay for you to go and stay and live near the sea for 2 weeks.
Whereas
here, you don't get that.
This is a great one. You'll love this one. Now there's someone who's, let's say, come down with a respiratory disorder. Okay. Now, years ago, so let's hope I get this right. Years ago, you know, that person would be coughing, and they'd go into a hospital. Now, as soon as they go into the hospital, okay, they'd want some cleaner air, because the rest of the patients are smelling. There's the odor of the hospital, but it's cold outside. You know, it's freezing. It's winter time. They can't open the window up because that will let in the cold air. Okay, everyone will be freezing cold. So, you know, they made oxygen. Have some oxygen. Now we can't pay for you to go and be near the seaside to get some fresh air. Right. We can't do that. You know, let's have some oxygen instead.
Right.
You know,
Okay.
It's all about money at the end of the day.
In this country.
In this country and lots of other countries, it's all about money. You know,
in this country, because Germany, you know, some things are better in other
some
countries.
things are a lot better in other countries. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about money. Money's the you know, is, you know, I know, but the worst thing about it all is that even though a lot of people say, yeah, it's money, and you know, I haven't got enough money to do this, and money's restrictive, and the society is restrictive because the wealth is being distributed unfairly, and all this lot. If you were to ask people, you know, when the cookie crumbles, what would you like? Would you want to have money, or would you not want to have money? A lot of people would probably want to have money, would want to keep the system as it is.
Oh, well, the system as in...
Yeah, the money system.
Yeah.
They'd want to keep the money system.
Yeah.
This is the irony of it all. It's just the same as religion.
Well, we don't know any other form of barter, is what that is, isn't it? We only know this form of getting goods.
Yeah, the
monetary system.
Yeah.
You know, but
I think it's you know, I've seen a few documentaries online about, you know, people trying out new ideas, or people coming up with different ideas about how to exchange goods and services, you know, and everything, and how people can get incomes and all this lot. And I have to admit, money is, you know, it's very, very difficult to come away from. It is extremely difficult.
Yeah,
it is. You know, it's literally impossible to come away from.
Yeah,
well, if it comes to needing to do natural things like your home and stuff like this, then you can't escape the monetary system. I would have to agree with you there. It doesn't matter if you own the house or what. They're still going to tell you with water rates and council tax and all these things. They're still going to hit you with something. Yeah, and that doesn't matter how much you try and get away. And this is wrong. You know, this is just as many ways as possible that this thing that we've supposed to have agreed to, called the society, where they can rob us as much as we can. I mean, none of us want that kind of society. So how is it like that when we are the society voting for people that we want to be changes? We don't get any of these changes.
Because people want it.
We've been conned with this nonsense for long enough. I mean, everybody must come to this conclusion by the time they get to about the same ages as we are just now. You know, you can see it through your youth, and then when it comes up when you get older, everybody knows how corrupt the system is and how fucking useless it is. So why do we not actually make a stand about it? There must be enough of us to make a stand about this. This is where you know that the information that we're getting fed through the media is complete and utter lies, because everybody you talk to is not going to be voting for this nonsense that's happening. You know, there's too many of us that don't vote. That's not right. I know this for a fact when we had the last thing with the Scotland voting for Scotland in, and absolutely every single person I came across was like, no, absolutely fucking no way, get that fuckers out of here. And when it came around, it was a yes. It's like, that's just absolute nonsense. It's absolute fucking lies, and everybody is in agreement that this is absolute lies. But there you go. There's nothing we can do to get our voice across and say this is lies, because the media control who comes up and says anything, and it's always little fractions that are given just the lightest side of dissent against it. Or like, oh look, the figures are only 46 to them and 52. There was nothing like that. It's like everybody said fuck off, and you're trying to say that some of us did say. It's just nonsense. We know this because we can talk to real life people. You know, if you watch your TV, you'll get fed the nonsense in your TV and you'll believe it. But when you talk to real life people in the street, you'll find that everybody's in the same agreement. So what is this shit that they're telling you on the telly that we're trying to accept? I don't watch it myself personally, so I don't know how bad it is now. But I knew when I came away from it, it was really bad.
Yeah, I mean, this is one reason why flat Earth is quite important, because if flat Earth kind of opens up people's mindsets to the notion that they've been given a load of shit.
Yes.
And once they hear that the Earth's flat, or there's people in this world who think the Earth's flat, because even having people around thinking the Earth's flat is good enough. Yeah. Now, the more and more people are thinking that, the more people.
Yeah, I was out doing some street activism on last Saturday, I think. Yeah, and I met a couple of guys, and they come up to me and they were saying to me, well, why are you here? Why are you doing this flat Earth stuff? Why are you pumping your views? And I'm saying, because I'm just raising awareness of flat Earth. That's all I'm doing. And I said to them, 20 years ago, you'd never see anybody down this street doing what I'm doing. You'd never see it. And yet now you're starting to see more and more people talk about it. There's more exposure online about it. Yeah. People are talking about it. They'll get to a point where someone's heard of someone who's a flat earther.
Yeah, there's even that guy. I went on a video today who put out a video saying, "Look, I'm tired of this flat Earth thing. I'm even happy to think that it's the Earth's a rhombus, but please, not flat. Can we?" It's as if the tone of his message or in his video is that he's getting sick and tired of hearing flat Earth.
Absolutely, because people can't destroy it. People can't.
It's not going away.
It's not going away. And you would have thought that in 2018, the globe Earth would have been done and dusted. Yeah. The flat Earth wouldn't even be
a thing of the past.
But now we're seeing a total change of table. The table's turning, more and more people are thinking, well, there's got to be something in it for these people to seriously consider the Earth to be flat. And we can't. We've been discussing this for 3-4 years with these people, and they're still there. Something's wrong. People are starting to wake up and realize that it's wrong. With the water not being hydrogen and oxygen, this is another thing that's come up. As far as I'm concerned, in my opinion, it's another thing that's coming up to question the globe society. To question, the whole structure of society, the belief system, and it's good because this is what we want. We want healthy discussion. We want people waking up and realizing that there's something seriously wrong with the society they're living in.
Absolutely.
Because it's shit.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
It could be a lot better, an awful lot better. And, it is about time that a lot of people started to think to themselves, things can be a lot better. Yeah. They can be a lot worse, obviously, So I'm not saying that, the globe society is really bad and it's evil and it's all this, but it could be an awful lot better. We could have better services. The people could be a lot happier in their lives. We could have more fairness, more equality. We can have more tolerance of other people, their views and opinions. You know what I mean? We can have an awful lot.
Better education.
Better education. The education system in this country is shit. Absolute bollocks. But, this is why it's worth making those small little ripples. This is why we do our videos. This is why I go out and do my street activism. This is why, I'm starting to just look at the globe society and look at a lot of concepts and ideas in it, and just realizing that they are just that, concepts and ideas.
Yeah.
Because there's no proof that binds it all together to make it true.
Yeah. Yep.
Well said. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, it's down to people what they want to do. I mean, I'm not bothered whether they want to think the Earth's a globe, they want to, not think about it, or they want to vote, they want to watch TV for all their lives. That's down to them. But at the end of the day, as long as I do my bit, I'm happy with that. At least I've tried, at least I've done something, rather than sat on my backside and done fuck all.
Yeah.
Well, we can't just take what we take for granted, the information that we get told. To really think that we haven't been lied to is very naive. Just going by what we know by speaking to other people, we know that this isn't right. And we know ourselves that this is a strange thing. In this society, we get encouraged to lie to our children. We get encouraged to lie to them about silly things like Santa and the unicorns and all these things.
The tooth fairy.
Yeah, the tooth fairy. Now, what advantage is there in misleading a child like that? What advantage is there? There's one thing to have myths and fables, but what advantage and what disadvantages happen when you encourage a child that's going to grow into an adult to believe something that is a lie, to just pass on that lie to another one? I think this is part of the program that we're into, where if we accept that, then we're happy enough to accept these lies. We've also got magicians that purposely do things so that you think that can't be true. It must be magic that's done that. We know it can't be magic, but we watch it in the idea of, oh, how did that happen? This is all part of making us believe things that aren't going to be true, but we accept them because everybody else accepts them. And one of these things is like this ball, this fucking idea that we're on a ball, when we know the properties of water. I mean, I think just now, in this era that we're in now, there's more understanding about what the properties of water actually are now. There's more people understanding what it can do and what it can't do, what it's supposed to be made of and what it's not supposed to be made of. And all sort of, by throwing electricity at it and throwing all sorts of metals and elements and doing everything with water, we found out. But one thing we know, regardless of how we behave with it, is it always lies at a level state. It's always level. And because this is always level, you have to ask yourself, when is it that if it tilts in any way, we're going to have it flowing? There was a thing telling you how, the video that we showed earlier on, that explained this is gases, this is liquids, and this is solids. And liquids flow. You cannot stop a liquid from flowing. So if you're on a sphere, it has to be flowing. We're under the perception of when we walk outside, we've always got an idea in the back of our mind thinking we're on the top of the ball. You know, we're on the top and everybody else must be getting that sensation of being sideways or upsides down because we don't feel it. And this is nonsense. I think we're all on a level plane. We're all on a level plane, just like the water describes to us, because the water is flat and it's level. We can assure ourselves we're on that same bit where that water is displaying it's flat and level. We're on that bit, it's level too. And if we add up everybody that's around us and everybody can go and get water and prove that they're on a fucking level bit, that must be enough proof to tell you that, look, we're on a level plane. We have ports where boats go into. We have something called, it's sea level, where the actual level, there's when it's high tide, there's it's low tide, and that's at sea level. And if everybody stands at that coast where it's sea level, everybody sees it flat and level. So this must, how does this happen? How can everybody be under a mass illusion that it's level, but it's actually round? It's just not possible. It's not possible.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people listening here know it's all bullshit.
Absolutely.
The globe, you know, the globe, it's all rubbish. Because one thing we're beginning to learn as flat earthers or free thinkers, and that is we can trust our senses, we can trust our experiences to give us the truth that we need in order to enrich our lives and make our lives better.
Yeah.
We shouldn't need other people telling us what's best for us when they may not have the best interests for us.
Mm.
Yeah, I think it really comes down to exactly what you're saying, but it comes down to the fundamental fact you can't lie to yourself. So it doesn't matter what somebody may have said. Somebody may have said, oh, look, this is round and everything. I think you ask yourself, what can you prove to yourself? Not what someone else is telling you, but what you see in real life, you know, what you actually know. And this comes down to like saying you've got a family member. You've got a brother or a sister or a cousin or an uncle or an auntie or someone like that. And someone says something about them. The word is on the street, oh, did you see that they've stolen a newspaper from the local newsagent? And your instant reaction is, I know that person. That can't be true. That's a lie. That can't be. I'm going to go and find this out. And you'll ask everybody. And, oh, the word is, yeah, I stole this newspaper. Until you find the person, tell me, did you steal this newspaper? No. Now you've got first-hand information, you know what it is. But all along, you knew yourself, going by the knowledge that you've got, that the answer was going to be no. You knew that. But this was the gossip, and people were listening to the gossip. This is where, if we don't lie to ourselves, then you'll find the answers, you know. If you listen to other people, then this is when the problems arise. Are we getting chat? What's happening in chat?
Just having a look. Because we're actually going to...
Well, yeah, we're actually going to make tracks because we really like to get this uploaded.
Oh, right. Oh, right.
So yeah, sorry. Yeah, this you'll love it when you watch. But because
as much as we'd love to stay and chat,
as much as we'd love to just stay and chat with everyone and all this lot.
Yeah.
But we got to go. Thanks ever so much for your time.
Yeah. Oh, it's 9 o'clock. Yeah, you've got a time for president. Okay, spot on, guys. Thanks very much for coming along. It's been much appreciated.
Well, thank you. Thank you ever so much for supporting this water.
We're all in the same boat, you could say. We're all in the same boat in the same pool of water.
Yeah, well,
you know.
Yeah, you know, well, you know, you're the only person, as far as I'm aware, okay, who is like promoting. Other than us, who's promoting this stuff
on a channel.
So many thanks. I do appreciate what you're doing. I think it's wonderful. because
I did it months ago. I was doing it months. I've got stuff up on BitChute, which is another channel as well, because YouTube takes off a lot of the ones that I've put up. YouTube have stopped them, banned them, blocked them, and there you go, copyrighted and all sorts of stuff. But I've been talking about this for ages. It's only now that I've found out. Look, put the weights together. That's the fucking secret, right? I put the weights and the volume together, and then it was like, oh, this is too much now. And then your side is also coming out with undeniable truths that this is clearly not the case. So we're getting attacked big time, because putting these both together, it ends up that you cannot get away from it. There's too much proofs saying to the contrary, you know.
Absolutely,
and like I said, we can't lie to ourselves. Their own facts. Yep, I'll let you go through, guys. Okay. Thanks very much.
Oh, then, see you later.
No, you can go. You can go when you want. I thought you were flopping about saying you were wanting to take off, but you can.
I just wanted to say, because just wanted to say, but it's so nice that people had started to talk about water. I think it's brilliant, you know, because in my understanding, it means we can move away from the flat Earth, because we've all accepted it, and we can start, you know, venturing out into other areas and actually starting to look at the bullshit that's obviously evident within other areas of society, which you know, and that's good, because that will help a lot of people acknowledge that the Earth's flat and accept more readily the information that we're giving to them.
That's it. Yeah.
So thanks ever so much. And so Peter's just saying thanks to everyone.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah, it's great. You'll love our next upload, I tell you.
Yeah, well,
you'll have so much to talk about after it. You'll be absolutely fucking amazing.
Well, that's good.
Anyway,
that's what we like to hear. That's what we like. Thanks again, guys. Take it easy now. Have fun.
Yep. See you later then.
Okay. Bye bye.
Okay. Cheers, Des. Cheers.
Yeah, no problem. You're still there. Yeah. Bye. See you later. Thanks again. That was Pete and Pete. That was great to see them. So they say they're going to be, well, look at that, that's amazing. They say they're going to be doing a video upload when they go away, so we'll look forward to that. I'm sure I'll be looking forward to it as well. I'll be right in there. What are you fucking laughing at? Peachy, which Peachy? Pete and Pete look like twins. Is that what you're saying? Where's this? Okay, Pete, Peachy, and Pete. Peachy, Pete and Pete don't look like twins. Will Smith and Barack Obama. That's it. That's it. There's Humpty Dumpty and George Best or something like that. One of the so wonderful. That was great. Kind of lost for something to say now, because we've had such a time. We've got the cat there giving us the nice look. I like that. He's looking quite on the miss in the background here. It's freaky looking. I'll see if I can take myself to filter in a bit better as well. Let's see where I can do this. No, that means I have to switch on another ring.
Well, guys, I think Pete and Pete did a sterling job there, dude, of sort of clarifying the situation for a lot of people as far as some of these scientific observations, like the flame coloring and stuff. And I'm hoping that the interruption that was in this broadcast, it spools out on the replay, so the whole explanation of the impurities within the tested substances is made obvious, you know.
Yeah. When I got knocked off and I couldn't get back in, there was nothing playing. It was just my screen playing. I wasn't managing to put anything out because I couldn't get into the Hangout. I couldn't get back into the Hangout for any of that to be heard. So I don't know who he was trying to convince. He was just speaking to Pete and yourself, whoever was left in the hangout, which was just him. He kicked everybody.
Yeah, he kicked me. Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking. Why would he want to do that? Throwing his toys at the prom. Well.
Well, I think we can all speculate on what the agenda was there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we'll call that a fail this evening, I think. You know?
Yeah. He was managing to do it pretty quick, though. I don't know how he managed to do that so quick. He was quite nimble-fingered, must have been. How it's code, you see. Open source code. There's probably a script you can go click, which he'll know, no doubt. But, well. It doesn't achieve anything because it just gets him off the screen and he gets to speak to whoever it is. That's all very good. And I can prevent that if I don't put the link out. I can just share the link privately if I wish. So that would stop that as well. So it's just sort of verified, like, okay, you've decided to make a fool of yourself. That's very handy. Yeah. But, well.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this is working quite well as a system, though, dude. I mean, we've had reliable audio all evening as well.
Yeah, it's been okay. I mean, Hope for Truth's audio was bad, but that's his system somehow. And I think other guy was quite spot on with that, where it was the encryption side of it. His computers were having to work too hard to manage to do it. And I thought that didn't make sense until he said that, and it's like, that's exactly what it'd be. Yeah.
But the development of this technology is that they're making older processes almost obsolete by them not supporting the instruction codes. But that's all starts to sound a bit nerdy, doesn't it? You know? I'm sure he'll get that sorted. But I mean, other people having problems.
Yeah, it's catching up, keeping up with the technology. Not so much you need to keep up with it; it's your equipment. You know, the equipment's fine, but they've changed codes. That means that it needs to really work so hard that you're always going to have to upgrade. It's just fucking. Well, we've realised this with the computers that we've went through, where it doesn't matter how much you keep updating it, you're always catching up. You just seem to be always catching up. Okay, so who's the fellow jester? Oh, fuck's sake. What a fucking idiot. So, as Brenda came in and decided to fucking kick me off the hangout. But, well, he's very clever, Ken. But I'll just change to a new one and then he'll see it. That'll be it. Is it? Is it? I don't care if it's you or no. There you go, Teen, you're back in. Yeah, there you go, Ken. It's obviously Brenda, Deanie's normal Brenda shite, isn't it? I can adjust that. Bombed by Brenda. I know. Where's dick. I know. It's supposed to be some kind of intellectual credibility, is what you were saying. And he comes in and does shit like that. I mean, it's just, look how clever I am, look what I can do. Really thinks he's clever that way, doesn't he? Ken? There you go, that's him fucking out. Right, so let me just go and make another tab and we'll correct that. Okay, so keep your eye on that. I've got two of me. Makes it easier. You got two of me. Fucking idiot. Oh, take a scene off a minute. Hold on. There you go. Hide up. And go here. And get rid of that. Click on. I know, don't worry. Don't worry. I've got it. You should get up easy enough. Right now. Right, wrong in. And put me here. There, so we had a wee bit of problems again. Ooh, Brenda, being nasty. Ooh, Brenda. Brenda, there you go, see. Now, that'll sort that. Brenda. So, he thinks he's clever, but he's nae. Okay, so he's got a little script that can make him come in and do things, but he can't do it now. So, don't worry, that's it fixed. I'll just make sure that I've got my sound on the right one. There we go. That was on the wrong one there, so that'll help. Yeah? Yep, mic check. Yeah, you're working. Yeah, good, So he's still sitting there listening, you know, he's still, what's that about? He must, it's serious, isn't it? Is that what it's called? A sadomasochist, somebody that likes enjoying pain and giving it an annoyance. And that's that thing for they like to be, I don't know, a centre of attention. It's a shame.
Well, like I was saying to you, I mean, for somebody that's sort of obviously desperate to have some public credibility, they're not really demonstrating the sort of attributes that are required in order to establish that credibility, are they? You know,
No.
Stop being children, you silly trolls. I mean, you've got something actually credible to say, then perhaps coming in, being polite, courteous, and actually addressing the people that are there on the topic in question, rather than sort of trying to deflect people's attention onto something as mundane as, you know, Todger or no Todger. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Very much is. Very much is. They're asking me to turn my volume up. Oh, I've got to turn my volume up. Right, hold on. I see what's happened.
Volume on me? Should I?
No, it won't be you. Me. Right, I'll go. Right, has that helped? It should have, maybe. Maybe it was just me. Let's see. Settings. That's okay, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Yeah, we'll just set that like that too. No, I think that's it. Well, I think that's it. Close that window. There we go. Close that one. This cannot be this cannot be debunked, Brenda. Beyond Horizons. So if I can do one, you fucking muppet. Turn your bass down. Right, bass. Okay, give me a sec. There you go. That's good enough.
Des, check the window for this video call, and over my avatar, see if my volume's set to too low. People are complaining in there. I haven't really got much to say, peeps, so you're not missing a great deal, man. You know, I just thought I'd hang about this evening and sort of, you know,
yeah,
support for a concept that needs to be considered. You know, it looks a lot like molecular chemistry's getting its ass kicked at the moment, because water doesn't look like it's made out of the stuff that they're professing it is. You know.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Yeah, I've moved to the mic as well. Sing. I knew somebody. Look, I've been here 5 minutes, man, and look, here we go. I'm being haunted.
No, I'm going to get my screen to display for some weird reason. It's not showing me. Why is that? Take off out. Take off out. Take off out. Take off out. Yeah, I'm trying to show my screen over on that side, and it's not showing it. Everything's, all the audio is going fine at this side, it sees, but
Yeah, no, it's me. I probably wandered too far from this mic. It's a vocal mic, so you got to stand.
No, but I'm hearing you okay, is what I'm saying. So I think it's like it's something at YouTube's side, because everything's okay at this side.
I'm reading this in here. There's water, flat Earth. I'm not really that convinced by who you are, dude. Colloidal silver was used in the medical industry until recently intravenously. Are we sure about that? Are we sure about that? I'd like some verification there. That sounds like a fairly brutal practice.
Yeah, that guy's been saying a few silly statements quite a lot, but he's part of the flat Earth movement that has got stakes and claims in the colloidal silver market. You know, he's part of. He'll be linked with Truth Frequency Radio or that crew is what he's from. Flat Earth, Water Flat Earth. Yeah, Water Flat Earth. Let me go to his channel and have a look.
I think this may be the guy who's got an interest in hydrogen welding machines, which apparently run off potassium hydroxide. So,
yeah, exactly what he's saying. They're not actually flat earthers. You know, there's something else. They've got another agenda, which we know what their agenda is, if he was to become aware of it, and it's just an assumption, but it seems quite blatantly obvious by some of the claims that they make. Like, it's funny how you can these kind of people jump on a bandwagon of, hey, look, see your airplanes, they're running on compressed air. What? Oh, let's all go for that. All right. Look, see this two substances that I can weigh. I can tell you the volume and the mass of them doesn't make water. Oh, no, you're lying. How? What do you mean? I've got fucking absolute proof. Where's your proof that we're running planes on compressed air? Apart from, you know, come on. If they can jump on things like that, that tells you the misdirection. You know, there's there may be some planes that are doing something that we're not quite sure of, but it's definitely not all planes out there are running on compressed air. You know, I found that one of the fucking most funniest things out. You know, I almost felt like jumping on saying, what the hell? Well, these people can't be flat earthers. What are they saying shit like that for? You know, and they're the same kind of people that are pulling that stunt on me. Oh, don't attach him to flat earth. Of course there's hydrogen and oxygen in it. Really? I would say you've been listening to too much of the wrong sources. I would have to say that rather than thinking for yourself, you've just accepted what the government and science are saying. However, you've already not accepted that by claiming that you're into flat earth, right? By claiming that you've worked it out and you're going by your own proofs and facts that you know and understand that it must be on a level plane due to the purposes of water and everything else. So I'll tell you the properties of water in great detail. I'll tell you that if it's supposed to be made out of hydrogen and oxygen, then I know how much litres when it's supposed to be a liquid form, and it cannot be a liquid form unless it is at minus 252 degrees Celsius. Now, if you can manage to get it to be a liquid form out with that temperature range, that would be interesting to know. And the same with the other gas. It's at minus 183. Cannot be a liquid in any way or shape or form unless it is minus 183 degrees. You can do it with pressure by pressurizing it and bringing the pressure down, but we're in a normal environment. You don't need that. You can have it frozen and you can see it's a liquid. When it's a liquid, it takes up a certain area. 14 litres of area as opposed to 1 litre. And that's just the hydrogen. Then you've got to add the oxygen too. And now you're getting nowhere near the mass to make water, and you've got far too much liquid. You just cannot get rid of that liquid density. The volume of it cannot disappear. It's like, what's happened? So this is a problem where they have no idea about where they're trying to say this goes into that. They're trying to say hydrogen and oxygen make water. I would like to see them prove this. Okay, apart from silly experiments where they'll go and fill something with hydrogen, take a flame to it, which is Brian Cox does this, takes a flame to that, and oh look, water. None of this was done with 2 parts hydrogen and 1 part oxygen. You don't know if that was 2 parts of hydrogen and 1 part of oxygen, or 4 parts of hydrogen and 2 parts of oxygen. You really don't know, because you're just doing a quantity. Who determines how much of it's going to get used when you haven't contained it to begin with? You've just put a whole lot into one jar and set it on fire. That's pure hydrogen, all hydrogen I would say, and it's evacuated it all out with the flame. It combusted. I wouldn't got any oxygen into it. But regardless, there must have been something before it starts and ignites, and that's the oxygen following it in, coming from the air, following it in, therefore giving you some condensation with the heat. Now the problem is, we haven't got this in real life. This doesn't happen. The hydrogen and oxygen, adding a little bit of carbon to it, now gives you sugar, right? The sweetness is there. But if you don't have the sugar in it, if you don't have the carbon in it, it'll make water. I mean, how do you manage to do this? How do you get one that's sugar and one that's water? Clearly a mistake somewhere. Or it may well contain hydrogen and oxygen. Sugar may well be hydrogen and oxygen and carbon. That's what it's made from. Do you really think so? Do you really think it's more likely just it's a plant and that's got a chemical structure, maybe something that we don't know, which is the sugar? But we've decided that if we add these 3 things to it, that makes it. That makes a sugar. You've tasted it and it's sweet. Have you tried this? Has it been tested to see if this clear is what it is? Because I don't know how you can manage to get everything from just the carbon, because it's the carbon that's giving you your carbohydrates. It's giving you all the energy, it's giving you all the sweetness, it's doing all these things by just attaching to hydrogen and oxygen, because hydrogen and oxygen's got no taste, no flavour, clear, nothing. So it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. I don't know where you have to do, or how you go about this, trying to explain it to someone, because the schools, the universities and everything have decided that no, that's H2O. So where do you go to start campaigning to say, excuse me, I would like this to be proved again. I would like someone to conduct a test. Because it seems like we haven't got this ability. This is closed doors to be allowed to disprove fundamental laws and theories that have been proved and tested. I mean, I don't think so. I don't think they've been fully tested, and that's why we've got these problems. If I was really clutching at straws and there was so much facts building up to look at this, look at that, and I then have to go, well, maybe, and well, maybe, but it could be something else, then fair enough. But unfortunately, there's none of that. It is fundamentally clear that, one, we can't get the volume and the mass to make the water in the first place with these 2 said products. These 2 said elements cannot be a liquid in any other state, apart from when they're minus 253 degrees and minus 183. So, or 52. We can leave that at that, and if we come on to the next stage where you've got the water now, but let's see what comes out of it, then you cannot perform electrolysis, which is one of the means that they say we can tell what's in a substance. You try and put the electrodes in, nothing happens with pure water. We do not get a current passing across, therefore we do not get electrolysis. Some may say if you put a high enough current across it, you will. I would have to disagree with that as well, and that's not happening. That's not been verified in any way at all. So
I actually spoke to somebody on this. There's a little while back,
okay,
and things have a dielectric, a resistance to current, and at some level that resistance is overcome by the force of the current itself. And so I noticed yesterday somebody wrote in the comments under one of your videos stating exactly that oh no, if you pump enough current in there, it'll push its way through, so it does conduct. Well, that's not conducting. That's called getting the fuck out of the way while something jumps a gap, mate.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the argument stands that yes, if you throw enough current through something, it will sort of punch a hole through the resistance that's there. That's not the same thing as something conducting the current.
No, and that hasn't performed the test of what is the gas that's coming off it. Then they haven't got to that stage. You know, there hasn't been a gas coming off that experiment.
Yes, that's right. It's never they're never stated in tandem. It's never stated that if you push enough current through it, then gas does come off.
No,
you're still dependent on an electrolyte in order to get that electrolytic action happening, which is a chemical thing, right?
Yeah. I'm sorry I have to do this to you, but I'm going to have to leave you for a moment. I have to go to the bathroom, so I don't know if you might have to sing to them or something. I don't know what you have to do, but I'll be as quick as I can. Sorry.
Well, nice to see so many people here to stopping and considering what's being said, because I think water, alongside a lot of other things, need to have some critical attention paid to them. You know, I mean, this is people here are looking. I'm laughing now because I'm just reading up. Yes, the singing part's coming. So, water alongside of a lot of other issues need your critical attention paid to them. Not just the geography. I mean, I think a lot of people have been here long enough now to satisfy themselves that ostensibly it's a plane. That's it. So what else are people going to do? Sit, argue with each other about it, try and come up with the best proof? Well, surely one proof's enough, isn't it? So let's think about turning our attentions to other things that I think have been misrepresented, and molecular chemistry, I think, probably is one of them. Can I whistle? Not without my teeth in, mate. If I'd have thought I was going to be left in a situation like this, I would have, I don't know, put some tunes up or something like that. But then perhaps most people aren't going to want to hear that either. You know, obviously we're stuck with whatever we produce rather than copyrighted material, seeing as the industry's shutting the door on the reuse of material. I hope everybody by this point has been and had a look at this Article 13 issue that was brought up a few weeks ago, because it's due for review shortly, I believe. And I think by review, they're intending just to amend it slightly and push it through. So there's going to be far more restriction on the use of content that you don't own the copyright for. Yeah, there's a bit awkward interacting here because I know that there's a lag. So I'm reading messages in real time, and I've got to respond to them. You're not going to hear the response until after. That's over true. Can I whistle? No, I just said, man, not without my teeth in, mate.
Oh dear, right, sorry about that. I hope you successfully managed to.
Well, I'm just reminding people to go and take a look at this Article 13 issue and before the door shuts completely on it, because I think that's coming up in early September, isn't it?
It's actually not that far away, isn't it?
No,
I've been kind of thrown off track with this recent revelations, so we've been missing out on that. But I think I've still maybe got the links in the description. I think I actually took some of the links out to get room. But yeah, it's something that we need to be talking about. It's going to be in September. I'm not sure, but I think there was something about the 4th, but I might be wrong.
It's maybe the 12th, I think.
12th, okay.
All right, so there's a comment in the box. Jeff Williams is asking, any thoughts on the implications of chemistry has on social science and the treatment of mental health?
Yeah.
I'd only be talking from my subjective understanding of it, not from a factual basis there. But I've got fairly strong beliefs about what people should be putting into their bodies and who they should be trusting to do it for them. You know, as far as mental health is concerned, that's quite a sensitive issue. You know, and like I say, we're here to look at the facts more than people's personal opinions. If I was gonna do something like that, I'd stream myself and maybe talk about my personal opinions there.
Oh, I don't mind you speaking your mind here, but it's entirely up to yourself, of course, as well. But
I suppose I'm a little bit reserved because I don't want the responsibility of anybody acting against their own best interest. That's all.
Yeah. Well, we know that the one right next to the one we're talking about, which is lithium, where we're talking about hydrogen, and lithium is right next to it on the two. And we know that's responsible for getting used in mental health as well. So what implications would these have? As something that, yeah, it could be looked at. You know, there could be basis for this is fundamentally why they've been getting things wrong. But we do know that these chemists and people like that are taking their, let's say they're stealing the trades that they want to use from the natural environment, and then they're replicating it with what they perceive as something that acts very like what they've got, very similar. And we found out because of drugs that we do know about, for example, the THC and the CBD in cannabis. We know what it is. We've sort of traced it down by looking at it, and we can see what it is. However, to try and recreate this in the laboratory, it's impossible. They can't get it to be how they want, how it acts as a natural substance. As a natural substance, it has got something that works naturally within our own bodies. I think this is the problem, is you can't synthetically make these things that are going to cure you because they're synthetic. They're wrong. There's nothing real about them. The real things from the real plants, however, have been shown to be very beneficial. And this comes down to it's simply just eating. It can often be the case in that. And then when you look at the amount of fake food or adulterated food that we're fed, then coming down to what the cow is eating, what the sheep is eating, what anything's eating. Now the crops that they're eating are contaminated with fake and not organic foods. So it doesn't matter where you go, it's very difficult to find something that hasn't been tampered with by science. Monsanto and people like this that have huge markets of veg markets, and they control everything. We're subjected to eat these things, which then is all imbalances. And if we're going to keep taking all these imbalances, it's no wonder we have all sorts of problems that happen to us because of these issues. Healthy eating is something that's very, very difficult to achieve due to the products that you have to get a hold of. You know, so it's all very well saying healthy eating, but the products that you're actually getting is becoming harder to acquire.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, you've got the opportunity. To sort of like audit your shopping list and say, do you know what? I'm going to pay a little bit more attention to exactly what I'm consuming, and at least start from that point, and then, you know, perhaps you'll find that you're going to get some sort of benefit from that. I mean, massively processed foods, you've only got to think about it, haven't you? Massively processed foods obviously are not going to be assimilated by your system the same way as something organic. I mean, you know, where the story goes, we've been here for a very long time as an organism. Now, people have got different opinions on that, but let's just take the official narrative for a moment. Now, you would think that the organism itself would be fully assimilated to its environment. So you start giving it things that aren't natural, then it's going to be maladjusted. You know, there's if people are interested in this stuff, they're going to go and look at a guy called Henry Drummond, who was the nutritional advisor to the War Council for the British in the Second World War. There's a book written about, a biographical book written about events in his life called The Vitamin Murders. And it show you a little bit about the difference between, you know, your organic foods, or the foods that are grown in a natural environment, and the less organic type where petrochemicals are used in order to force production, you know. And I would extend that petrochemical world into medicine, as I was being asked to comment on just now. I really don't think that a lot of this stuff's maybe a good idea. Jeff Williams was asking. But again, I'll just start rambling. They shut me up, for fuck's sake.
No, you're all right. You're doing good, Marshall. Don't worry about it. The cat has spoken. Okay, you need to listen. We need to listen. You know, it's not often the cat gets to have its say. And
I've not much to say, dude. You know, I'm happy to hear what other people have to say, and this is the thing. I mean, it's I think we've all got an opinion. We've all got something valid to say, and I'm more than happy to help facilitate other people sort of having the opportunity. Mostly, you know, it's enriching for me.
Yeah, me too. I'm on the same boat. I like to get anybody in to have a conversation. And I mean, Brenda was in this. He was in this evening. He had the opportunity to behave responsibility if he wanted to, and he abused that. I don't know why he went to abuse that, but he did, and it was simply because I pulled him up on one of the on the question that he had asked, where he was going to judge his basis that, do you believe what the consensus is for how we live? You know, do you believe that? If science says this is true, do you believe that? And he's expecting everybody to go yes, and he wants that to be yes as well. He wants that answer to be yes. And we say, no, we don't go with that. And he was then going to run off on, well, why don't you? But, well, I can stop you there. Do you believe that science says you're a man? And he doesn't like that, because that's just hitting him straight where, oh, that's your fucking story just gone then, isn't it? Because you don't believe that science says you're a man. You want to believe that science says is not allowed to tell you what you are. You're not allowed to. You're telling science what it is. So that's a contradiction of what you're trying to get us to believe. And if you're going to start off the cat, and I'm going to pull you up about it, and you're going to kick me out because of that, then that shows you how weak the approach you had, because you fundamentally lost before you'd even started. That, to me, is like, well, just wanting to come in and argue for the sake of arguing. You know, that's something wrong with that. He knows himself that the volume and the density won't make water, you know, but he wants to go with his chemistry that has said that it does make water. Well, they say that a man and a woman make a child, and it'll be a male or a female. If you want to deny that, then I have to say that's maybe why you're wanting to stick to your idea that it is hydrogen and oxygen that makes it, because it's always been like that, so it must be. But you know differently. But you're not willing to accept that that might be a different way as well, you know? But no. Why can't water be an individual element, like you, Brenda? Individual, you know? Not made up of, you know, 2 parts male and 1 part female, or 2 parts female and 1 part male. You're just individual. No, but I don't know. He'll maybe get to it. He'll maybe come round, and he won't feel so hurt about it once he puts a bit of research in and finds out that it can't be done. And he's also got some other people that are quite friendly. He's quite friendly towards Pete and Pete. He thinks they're quite admirable, likes them. And there, if we were to say we're in any boats, or if we're on any side of a fence, he's on their side of the fence, you could say, in the same boat, almost. So if they say that it's they can't find it, then he should surely agree with them, because he's, you know, like for like, you should be, well, they're happy enough to accept it, aren't you? And if he doesn't, then that's it. Because if he does accept it, it's got this little niggly thing called flat earth attached to it. Now, you shouldn't be looking at it like that, because I'm not looking at it like that. I'm not looking at it like what I'm telling you here has got any connection to flat earth. What it has got a connection to is water. And water, I know, performs, it's flat, it's level, so that's where you get the instruction that it's flat earth. But it's level water, so we're on a level contained vessel. Not a ball, I would go that far and say not a ball, but to say flat earth and using that terminology is a wrong terminology for trying to talk to people, because they just instantly get this, and they want to listen, and that's wrong. So I never approach it from that angle. There's plenty of other angles you can approach it from, and approach it from the water angle is the best one to me. And just give them the, here you go, here's what the properties of water are supposed to be, and then we can move on to how it's supposed to perform. You can see it's level and flat, and if you've got plenty enough explanations going through with that, then you can get to the point of how do you think it's managing to bend round a ball? Because the only answer after that is something called gravity, which you haven't ever seen or don't know about. You know that things fall, and that's maybe an explanation for something, but it's not gravity as in how things stick and stay sticking when they're supposed to flow, and there's no other way it can. Because, you know,
this is sort of the problem, isn't it? I mean, whose version of gravity are these people talking about? You know, it's something that it's worth looking into again. Up until Einstein established himself with his self-appointed model, he was an advocate of Lesage's model, apparently. So I've read, if you want to believe that. Now, Lesage's model suggested that the ether was full of corpuscles. Yes, okay. That's right, corpuscles, like in blood. And the pressure of those corpuscles were what forced things into position. Now, I don't know. Does that sound a credible version of gravity? And if when you go and check it out, there are other people that had other strange interpretations of events. Now, we're what, less than 100 years from Einstein's model, and so for the whole of time, as far as we're come to understand, there were 5 elements. That's the way everybody viewed the world, and it all seemed to function up to the point where somebody suggested, no, there is no ether. There's this mathematical thing that explains it away, an abstract thing called gravity. Again, whose model of gravity are these people discussing?
Yeah,
they all seem fantastical to me.
Well, this it's an explanation, is what we do know, right? It's an explanation of what's happening. It's not a fact. They can't say this is a fact that this happens. It's a reasonable explanation, just like we've got reasonable explanations for all the other things. The problem is, in order to determine it to be a fact, everybody has to be in agreement with it, not just a certain sect of society that deem themselves to be scientists, and that's the only way it must be. I mean, there's other people got views and opinions as well, but because they haven't got any official way of being recognised, then we don't really hear that view and opinion. We maybe hear it years later when someone digs out a paper and says, oh, look what this person said. Isn't that interesting? Yes, we think that now. Oh, that's a bit late, isn't it? If people were thinking with that mind back then, are they not thinking like that now? What has changed that suddenly has said that it's not like that. What is the reasons for it? And you'll find that we sort of add to the complications of things rather than figure them out. We just add more complications to it. And the latest one now is atomic mass and stuff, where they're atomically looking at it. They're looking at things in the nanoparticle sense, where you can't see it. It's an interpretation of what's happening that's happening. Being able to isolate atoms and collide them together. How do you isolate an individual atom? And they'll convince you that they know how to isolate an atom. I really don't think they're going to manage to isolate a single atom and then shoot it round a pipe for it to collide with another atom as if that's going to do something. I mean, we have lots of atoms in a certain space. This is how much area that atoms take up. Let's say it's oxygen. It takes up this many space and it's got X amount of atoms in it. Are they atoms next to each other? Yes. So how do they manage to exist next to each other? They're there. Do you think you can collide these faster than we can move things or something, and they're going to actually do something? Because these atoms don't seem to, if we wave our hands about, these atoms are getting knocked about and nothing's happening. So how do you think they've got enough tangibility to be just a solitary one? They're going to hit it against another one and get any kind of reaction. Even more than that, a fucking reaction is that explosive that from something that's so small. It's like, I thought we were dealing with something it's microscopic when you smash an atom together. So how can it make anything bigger than a little microscopic explosion that's just fucking tiny? Dink. But no, they'll tell you that because you're splitting an atom apart, then this is a fundamental, amazing explosion. Really? You've got to think about just who's told you this and how that is supposed to be actually working when you're dealing with something so small. Do you think it's going to make something so big dealing with something so small? But then you may have been led into this, the illusion that there was a big bang where everything was created from nothing. You know, there was nothing and then, everything. Is this what they're trying to tell you? Do you think that's in any way possible that they're going to have the power of creating a universe or something ridiculous like that? I mean, there's just no way you're going to be smashing two atoms together and getting anything more than an atom-sized reaction, or splitting it apart. You'll get half of the reaction of what a whole atom would be. If at all that you could split an atom. I don't know if you could. They say they can. What did they use?
Well, they say a lot of things, Des. I'm going to share in the chat box a link I sent you. We talked about this the other day. Because apparently somebody's photographed an atom.
Oh, yeah. Lovely.
I think everybody will enjoy this. It's from the National Geographic as well, so that's a cited source. But don't get too carried away, people. Just actually read to the bottom of the article. But there it is, a photograph of an atom, apparently.
Oh, that's right. I remember that one. Right, that comes off. I really didn't understand. There. Right, I don't know why the other one's not working. But that one is now. The colours will be a bit wrong. Take them off. There we go. Can we? I think I can read through this, can't I? Oh, yeah, let's just click us here. It takes a wee second to initiate. Read from cursor. Don't know if that's it there, like, but it's something like it. Okay, carry on to here. Oh.
Two flash units
see
are
that.
fitted with color gels. Extension tubes are generally used for close-up photography. Atoms are infinitesimally small, measuring only a minuscule fraction of an inch in diameter. At 38 protons and 215 billionths of a millimeter across, strontium atoms are relatively large by comparison. Still, the only reason why we can see the atom in the photo is because it absorbed and then re-emitted laser light at a speed capturable by a long camera exposure. So, the photo is actually of the laser light being re-emitted, rather than the outline of an atom. Without the long exposure effect, the atom wouldn't be visible to the naked eye.
No.
Related, the God particle, today's popular stories magazine. While we sleep, our mind goes on an amazing journey how explorers sleep in extreme spots. Starving polar bear photographer recalls what went wrong. Nadlina's photo wasn't the only one to win the prize at the competition. Other winning images included extreme close-ups of kitchen sinks.
Still hearing me as well, Des?
I hear you. Aye.
Right. Yeah, I'm not hearing that playback now, but it is going to air. So.
All right. Oh, I see what you know. I've read. It will go to you now from now on. It was going.
I don't necessarily need it, but I'm just saying I've checked and it's getting air now. So.
Aye. It wasn't a for a start. Don't know why. It's kind of everything's getting a bit spooky the way it's flicking through the things it was on, like, because it was all set up. Well, you can. It was all set up. I'd got this bloody thing all ready to go for when they come in. I got the door set up on there. This was all done. Everything was all cleared, and now it's playing up and funny things happening, and the net going down, and well. So apart from that, it's okay. It was just a small problem where I just go revise it again and we get through, but we'll kind of get the point about what's happening on these things. So they've seen here, right? This little bit here is that where the atom is? How come you got a picture of it, but you're gonna see it in there somewhere? Really, it's gonna be silly. And if you go and when you go and read it, I'll have to go and find the bit where it says actually that it isn't what it is, isn't it? Where is that?
It's as it creeps down the article, it slowly reveals that, well, you can't actually see it. What you can see is a laser that's behind it, and intermittently, is it strontium they're using? The strontium atom is relaying that light.
Yeah.
I'd be a little bit dubious there about what's actually happening. Maybe they're just taking a photograph of a laser and saying, "Oh, look at that."
Yeah. Oh dear. Damn it, I forgot about that. Hello everybody, Twitch and Mixer and all the other ones out there. I hadn't got my text box up, so I know you've been texting away and saying things, but I haven't noticed it, so haha again. I'll speak to you next time you're on. I forgot about that. I forgot I was bloody going on to that. I just thought it was YouTube, but no, I've got the Twitch and Mixer in there as well. So hello to them that are watching or were. Right, let's see. This is what it says it is.
So, the photo is actually of the laser light being re-emitted, rather than the outline of an atom. Without the long exposure effect, the atom wouldn't be visible to the naked eye.
Oh, so it's nearly that then. it's sort of, well, it's nay, but we'll just tell you that we're seeing it. So, can they fucking see it or not? No, you can't. So this is silly, like. What's the point? At 38 protons and 215 billionths of a millimetre across. 38 protons, infinitesimally small. That's how small it is. Infinitesimally small.
Yeah. I've got to direct people to the photograph that goes with the article, and the fact that this was taken with a 50mm lens. And I'm sure there's plenty of people here that have got P900s. In fact, Sandra's now got a P1000 apparently. But I mean, most people are familiar with rudimentary camera lenses. 50mm, everybody, that photograph was taken with. How small is that? If you do a web search, you'll find a high resolution version of that image, and you can scrutinize it to your heart's content. And I think it's going to become very obvious that the thing you're looking at isn't as small as how much? 13
protons. Yeah, 30. It had 32 protons.
13 protons you're looking at there, apparently.
38 protons, 215th billionths of a millimetre across.
Yeah,
oh, lovely. Give me that. I've got it in 19 by 90. Oh, there I go. Give me it. Download it.
This is my view, saying he used to work at those tolerances on a lathe. I know a little bit about that, dude.
That's a shit picture.
It's quite ambitious tolerances you got there. I don't know what I've done with it. I'll find it. I'll find it in the files later. I've got
there, look. Do you see it? It's right there, look. See? There's the atom. You can see it. You can fucking see it, look. I can see an atom. Oh my god. Nobody else has noticed that. You think you better phone him up and say, hey, I can see your atom. I can actually see it. Really? Yes, I see it right there. Look, there it goes.
I'll admit, if you just drag that photo to the bottom right hand corner, and you'll see the slot head screws of the mechanism by comparison. Yeah, that's not even. Yeah, I don't know. That's not small at all, is it? No.
There's the screws. Here's some normal screws and stuff that will work with. There's a bolts, look, normal bolts that you see. Okay, if we just come back a bit, there's the bolts, and there's the arm. Can you see the dot? You can actually still see it there. I don't know if you can see it, but you can.
It's a Meccano-sized screws, look. You know?
Yeah, they are. They are definitely. Wow. Right, go on in. Let's.
That's the National Geographic. That's your official source of science, people.
Let's give you some more funky stuff here. Look. There we go. Here's it. That was it when they teed it in 1932, and then they came into modern day and they gave you this in, and you go, oh, thank you. And then I thought, I'm gonna give that a go. I'll give it a go. And I took other pictures of it, and oh look, it started transforming, and it was still there. Look at how funky it is. Oh dear. So I don't know. It's supposed to be a
sign of deception, mate, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. There we go. So that's just crazy, that, like. But that's their picture, that they're trying to say that you can see that atom. Aye.
If you shine a laser behind it, you can see it. Apparently, that's,
No,
that's what the photograph says.
I can see it now. With that to that. Yeah. Look at this screws and stuff, a Meccano set. That's like a size 6 or something. You know, 6 mil.
Yeah.
Oh, I nearly broke my screen.
It's very powerful. Did they say that strontium is a large atom?
Oh, it's pretty large, isn't it?
It'd be colossal, man, wouldn't it? Come on, let's be serious here.
Look at these. I'm in the road. Move me out the road. Look at them screws. Just normal screws right next to an atom. I mean, I could take an atom and... Oops. Damn it. We could take an atom there. Oh, let me out of the road. That little dot that you can see there, you could set it on the end of a screw, you would see it. It's just like, do you realise that you shouldn't be seeing anything there? That gap is fucking massive. I mean, it should be a gap that you can't see the gap. It's like, are you sure there's a gap there? Yes, honestly. But that's so blatantly fucking obvious. I could put... Let's have a look. You see, I could probably put about another 50 fucking atoms in there. You know? Look, one of my dots on that air is only 1.3, 1.3. That dot on my kilogram there is almost about the size of that fucking... Yeah, that dot. That dot there, look. Or the dot on the question mark. That dot on the question mark. There you go. It's just, that's the size of it. Well, well, well. That's amazing. Science doing its best to fuck your head up every time it can. Well, we're not falling for that, Ian, I'm afraid.
No.
It's just not allowed. Student wins an award. Photo of a single atom. Wins the competition. Oh no. You didn't. You won the competition with that photo. Oh my god. What are we going to do? I mean, seriously. If I oh dear. There's no hope for us. Absolute courses. Where's the deception course? Have they got a course on deception? That must be pretty good. Fuck. Admissions. You have to be completely mental. Disability, yeah. If you've got a disability, you can join. You'd have to be honest. Universities. He used a 50mm lens with extension tubes and 2 flash units and a couple of colour gels. Extension tubes.
Flash unit.
Flash units, right. Extension tubes are generally used for close-up photography. Close-up, not fucking atomic level. Fuck, infinitesimally small. How many words do you want to use? There's a moon. Is this? See all photos. See all the lies we've got. Come on then. Let's see all the shite you've got. Oh. Oh. A supermoon. Look, just what kind of camera took that? They did something to make that look bigger, have they? Oh, brilliant. Aye. Something's wrong here. One of them's too big or one of them's too small. Wow. Oh, to like photographing the moon. Some nice pictures. Wow. Some of them just another grill though. That just is another grill. What is it? November. Supermoon hangs above the valley. Near God's Mexican Utah. Okay. Wow. Seems quite close. Seems quite big. Like. Right. So this is their guy that said they would have their atom. Some student has got the accreditation of being very, very clever and managing to give us that. Have I lost you? No, Anna. So, I just didn't really. Do not think at all that is real. It's just not real to me at all. There's just no way you've seen. There's no way you've seen an atom and managed to take a photograph of it. And held in between two spikes at the same time. That's just nuts, you know. If that's 19 billionth of a millimeter, my will must be 100 feet long. yeah. I'll go with that. If that's 19th, it's a 215 billionth of an inch, and it's visible. Now, if you add them up, if that's only 215th billionth of an inch, then yeah, my willy will be about 100 feet long. Must be, which. Right. Maybe enough room for me to get in my bed if that's the case. Well, I will, but the rest of me won't. So, no, we're not falling for that.
No, EJS is putting it in succinct terms there. Can't really go, but it's quite frightening what they think they can get away with. Well, that's sort of why I was pointing people at it. It illustrates the point, doesn't it? Graphically, it tells you in the header that it's a photograph of an atom. And when you read the article, no, it isn't. It's a photograph of a laser light that's being shone into the lens. And we could go on all day about the CCD in the camera, you know, and what's the resolution of that, and blah, 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 blah. But because it's the National Geographic, people just take it literally at face value. They look at the photo, they look at the title, and they say, well, that's another mystery solved. We now know we can look at them, so they are real. Well,
that's the impression it gives, isn't it?
Yep.
Leaves people thinking, oh, look, yeah, that's true. And no, sorry. It's like that space that you're seeing behind you there. It's just not happening. I haven't got my camera on. Sorry about that. My camera was off to you. I don't know why. It should have been on. Anyway, that's it on now. Cars in space springs to mind. Yeah. You know, that was one of their last attempts as well, which Hope for Truth is shouting in there. John, he's saying that we've got a car in space, remember, that was going through. It's like, come on, really? Is this what we're going to be left to having to ridicule it? I mean, to ridicule flat Earth people, but then put a car in space, like a normal car, and pretend that it's flying and it's making its way to Mars, that's when you have to really consider who's getting bluffed, Ken. Who's actually thinking logically here? You know, where's the Where's your proof? Apart from, look at it. There it is. There, look. Where? I'm seeing it on a screen. That's not seeing it or believing it's anywhere else. I just, no. But that's it. They're going to convince you that there is a car flying in space on its way to Mars, and we've got proof of it. We can show you. Really? No, you can't. No, you can't. Whoa. Tripping. I've cut tick back out a wee bit. Let's see, where are we? Saturation. Oh, better.
I'm gonna have to call it a night in a minute, dude.
Yeah, it's late. Like, I was thinking the same myself. Like,
it's been a good session, dude. It was excellent to see Pete and Peter, and I thought, you know, that sort of really did clear things up. You know, some more sort of detailed information. I should be eagerly looking at their video in the morning.
Yeah, I might go and have a wee look at it now, actually, if that's up. And I think they were going to throw it up, so I should have maybe did a live presentation of it up at the same time, but I'll save it for another day or see what's happened. I'll go and see it first. But yeah, it's been great having you on, as usual. It's been fantastic hearing your conversation. And yep, and I'll hopefully see you again soon. That'll be good.
Yeah, nice one, mate. Good. Oh, well, I'll say good night then, Pete. And Des, I'll see you later, mate.
Okay, thanks very much. Yep, and everybody out there in chat, I'll say thanks to everybody out there. It's been great. And thanks for John there for coming in. Thanks to Pete and Pete for popping in. And they kind of were on for quite a while. Thanks to the other guest that popped in. I can't remember his name, but he was in there. Did a news with him. And I can't remember his name, but he was in there. And thanks to all yous watching. It's been a much appreciated. Be true to yourself, okay? Don't lie to yourself. Look into the facts and question everything. Thanks again. See you later, folks. Bye.